Down with the Chatham Journal. I got Asheebo Rojas on as well. We're here for our Wednesday Chatham NC Sports Roundup. We're starting a little bit earlier than we were projecting, a little bit later, but Asheebo's got to run off at 1 o'clock, so we're going to go pretty much live with him in just a second. Let me do this. And there he is, Mr. Asheebo. Let's start off with what's going on in the Chatham News and Record, and it is all yours.
Yeah, so this week we got plenty of things in the paper coming out this week. We have two playoff previews and early outlooks for our Chatham County baseball and softball teams before the state playoffs get started next week, and also before the end of the conference tournaments this week. We also have a small brief just detailing Drake Powell will be making an appearance at the Josh Level Classic on May 11th in a couple weeks as well. And also, we have our usual roundup, and our usual roundup, and then we have the game story from baseball, Seaforth and Bartley Yancey from last week, where Seaforth clinched and won their first Mid Carolina 1A 2A baseball conference title. So those are the stories we'll have in the paper. But I know we're on limited time, so I want to get through everything we have today, just to run through the scores for lacrosse and talk about our boys tennis qualifiers for regionals next week in boys tennis. So for boys lacrosse, just starting from scores from last week, on April 23rd, we had Northwood beating Williams 10-3, and on April 25th, we had Seaforth beating Cedar Ridge 11-4. On the 26th, Seaforth then beat Williams 14-6, and Northwood lost to Orange 14-3 on that same day. And on the girls' side, on April 22nd, we had Seaforth beating Carborough 9-5. On the 24th, Seaforth won again against Jordan in overtime 9-8. And then Northwood lost to East Chapel Hill 13-9. And then on April 26th, Northwood beat Seaforth 11-8. And yeah, boys tennis qualifiers for regionals. And 1A singles, we had Mikhail Kirkman from Chatham Charter, Adam Reese from Chatham Charter, Jacob Gilliland from Chatham Central, who was the conference champion on the Mid Carolina 1A side, and Seth Gilliland, who is also from Chatham Central and will be joining Jacob at 1A singles regionals. And for the 1A doubles, we have Colton Todd and Thomas Jort from Chatham Charter. Those two were the conference runner-ups. And then Adam Bednar and Zane Morgan, also from Chatham Charter. And then we'll have Janavan Martin and River Warren from Chatham Central, who were also the conference runner-ups for the Mid Carolina 1A side. And on the 2A singles, we'll have Walker Magronat from Seaforth, who was a conference champion, Felton Burley from Seaforth, who was a conference runner-up, and Yahir Joaquin from Jordan Matthews. And the 2A doubles, we'll have Matthew Bowser and Henry McFall from Seaforth, who are also the conference champions. And we'll have Ija Sinclair and Sam Rogers from Northwood, who are conference runner-ups. And Gabriel Gonzalez and Brandon Luster from Seaforth will also join the rest of the Chatham County doubles teams that qualified for the next step in the postseason. So congrats to those tennis athletes. And also going into our baseball and softball scores from last week and power rankings for the final power rankings for the rest of the season as we head into conference tournaments and postseason play. On April 22nd, starting with baseball, on April 22nd, we had Northwood beating Graham 22-4. On the 23rd, Seaforth went over Bartley Yancey 6-1, and Chatham Central lost to Northmore 2-1 in 14 innings. Chatham Charter then beat Chatham Homeschool 19-0, and the next day those are the 23rd. But on the April 24th, we had South Granville beating Seaforth 8-5, and then Northwood lost to Apex 10-2. And the Burlington School beat Chatham Charter 3-2. And on the 25th, Chatham Charter beat Rivermill 21-1. And on the 26th, Seaforth beat Bartley Yancey 3-0, which clinched the conference title for the regular season. And Northwood lost to Williams 7-1. Chatham Central also lost to Northmore again 2-1. And Jordan Matthews beat Graham in a doubleheader, 16-0 the first game and 17-0 in the second game. And then on April 27th, Jordan Matthews lost to Bartlett NC 12-11. In our final baseball power rankings for the season, at number 1, we'll have Seaforth. Number 2, Chatham Charter. Number 3, Northwood. Number 4, Chatham Central. And number 5, Jordan Matthews. So those are our final baseball power rankings for the season. Please let us know what you think of the power rankings in the comments. Who do you think should have been moved up further? Who should have been moved down a little bit more? Just give us your opinion and what you think about how the final power rankings shook out here at the end of the season.
Asheebo, got a quick question for you since that's your final power rankings for the season. Where do you see those guys playoff-wise, or am I jumping too far ahead and you're going to tackle that separate?
Yeah, we'll talk about playoffs just in a second.
Okay.
Yep. And then for softball, we had on the 22nd, we had Southern Lee beating Seaforth 10-8 in 8 innings. On the 23rd, Jordan Matthews beat Seaforth 9-0. Chatham Central beat Northwood 5-4 in 9 innings, and Chatham Charter beat Northmore 10-2. On the 24th, Jordan Matthews beat Northwood 10-0, and Chatham Central won over Western Harnett 6-1. On April 25th, Cedar Ridge got the win over Northwood 13-4, Northmore 14-3, and then Chatham Charter, they got the forfeit win over River Mill that day as well. And on the 26th, Seaforth fell to Bartlett Yancey 8-6, Jordan Matthews over Graham 17-0, and Chatham Charter beat Clever Garden School 5-3. And final softball power rankings at number 1, Chatham Central. Number 2, I got Jordan Matthews. At 3, I got Chatham Charter. 4, Seaforth, and 5, Northwood. Of course, these for both baseball and softball, these power rankings are just for all the teams in the county, regardless of classification or conference. Just ranking them based off, how their seasons went, who they were playing, and just like I said, just how they finished the season as well here for the final ones, and their placement in the conference as well went into consideration. So once again, let us know what you think of the power rankings for softball and baseball. And now I want to get in before, like I said, we're in a short time. Want to get into the conference tournament stuff from this week and a little bit of, what we think of what could happen in the playoffs when they seed next week and start the first round on May 7th. Just baseball scores from the conference semifinals last night in the Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A conference. We had Seaforth beating Jordan Matthews 14-4, and Chatham Central falling to Southeast Alamance 7-6. So Seaforth will see Southeast Alamance in the championship game tomorrow at Chatham Central. And Seaforth, already the conference, the regular season conference champion could, further solidify their high seeding in the state tournament, and better themselves for the state playoffs coming next week. On the Central Tar Heel 1A side, we had Chatham Charter beating Triangle Math and Science 16-0 last night, so they'll advance to that championship game against Clever Garden School tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then softball matchups tonight for the softball semifinals. We'll have 2-seed Jordan Matthews going up against 3-seed Northmore at 5 p.m. And after that, we'll have Chatham Central, the 1-seed, going up against 4-seed Bartlett Yancey. Both those games will be at Graham tonight, and the championship game will be Friday at Graham at 6 p.m. Yeah, and then baseball and softball RPIs, looking at where they could possibly land for the state playoffs. Now, the stories that came out today are based off the RPIs that were updated on Monday. So these RPIs rankings that I have here are from the updated RPIs from today. So in baseball, for 1A East, Chatham Charter came in at the number 9 team in the RPI rankings. Chatham Central was the 25th team. 2A East, Seaforth was the number 8 team in that classification, and Northwood was the number 23rd seed. And just looking at, from looking at the RPIs and the conference finishers from across the state, when kind of predicting where these teams would get seeded, from Monday, Chatham Charter on the 1A East side looks like they'll probably be they could be a lot higher than 9, just depending on where the rest of the conference winners from the season finish. around the state, and also too knowing that a few of the teams that were ahead of them in the RPI rankings from Monday did not win their conferences during the regular season, so they won't get priority seeding in the state tournament like Chatham Charter will. So I had them going. I saw them going possibly as high as the 5th seed there in the 1A tournament at Seaforth. Kind of a similar thing for them. I got them a little bit higher, around the 6th seed. Could be between the 6 or 8 seed for Seaforth in the 2A tournament there. So we have some high seeds coming in to the state playoffs on the baseball side, and the same for the softball side as well. For softball on 1A East, Chatham Central came in as the number 9 team in the RPI standings today, and Chatham Charter is the number 14 team. On the 2A East side, we have Jordan Matthews at 8, Seaforth at 35, and Northwood at 36. For Seaforth and Northwood, probably not going to be in the state playoffs this year. They're just on the outside looking in as of right now, and after they've been knocked out of the softball conference tournaments, they didn't really help. That didn't really help their cases as far as getting in and moving up in the RPI standings for the teams that will be ranked. I mean, for the remaining teams, at-large teams that will be seeded for next week. But for Chatham Central, I think there's a little bit of the same thing we talked about on the boys' side. A few of the teams ahead of them did not win their conference championships from the regular season. So Chatham Central could go a little higher in the playoff seeding as like a 7 seed. Jordan Matthews on the 2A side could go, possibly up to a 6 seed as well due to the same thing. So interesting to see where those teams might end up after the end of the conference tournaments, where we also factor in the conference tournament winners who also will have a little bit more of a priority season, not over the conference tournament. I mean, not over the conference champions from the regular season, but they will be factored in and have priority in the at-large seating as well. So, yeah, and then also I think I wanted to get into just a little bit of some of the other sports, what's going on in girls soccer, RPIs, 1A East, Woods Charter is coming in at number 3 today, and Chatham Charter at number 27. For 2A East on girls soccer, we got Seaforth coming in at 5, Northwood at 14, and Jordan Matthews at 31. So we could see all 5 of our girls soccer teams in the state playoffs, just depending on Jordan Matthews, see if they can hold on to their spot in the RPI rankings and possibly sneak in as a low seed. And then also wanted to just update the boys tennis regionals. We talked about the qualifiers that will be happening this Friday and Saturday. For 1 East, they'll be going on at Herman Park in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And then for 2A Mid-East regionals will be at Heritage High School in Wake Forest. And then also for track, the Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A track meet will be going on today at 1 p.m. at Cummings. So we'll find out some more conference champions after today for the spring season. And then boys golf regionals, we got 1A Mid-East location will be at Lane Tree Golf Club on May 6th at 8 a.m. And then for the 2A Mid-East regional, Seaforth will be hosting it at the Preserve at Jordan Lake Golf Club, also on May 6th, starting at 9 a.m. Seaforth won the Mid-Carolina Conference 1A, 2A golf championship. So they'll be sending a few players to the regionals. I know Jordan Matthews will be sending some players as well. So, like I said, a lot going on in Chatham County as the spring season gets to the postseason. A couple of sports still trying to finish out their regular seasons this week and next week. And we'll have girls soccer playoff previews coming out next week as well. Hold on, Gene. We can't hear you.
There we go. Okay, we got 4 minutes left, but the thing that everybody wants to hear about that we haven't touched on yet is who's your athlete of the week? Yeah,
athlete of the week for the week of April 22nd. I'll pull it up. Athlete of the week this week is Natalie Becky from Northwood Girls Lacrosse team. This week, she scored her 100th goal in the 13-9 loss to East Chapel Hill on the 24th. And in that game, she scored 7 goals herself. And then Northwood's 11-8 win over Seaforth 2 days later, she put in 6 goals. So, she's been a scoring machine for Northwood this season. And according to Max Preps, her 107 regular season goals were the second most in all the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, behind Maya Seoshin at TC Robertson, who scored 111 goals during the regular season. So congrats to Natalie at Northwood for earning Athlete of the Week honors and having a great regular season.
All right, folks, going to wrap it up. Asheebo, you don't know where you're going to be yet because so much stuff is coming up. Is that right? So the best thing people should do is just follow you at Asheebo R38 on Twitter, and you'll be posting out your schedule on that out there, won't you?
Yes, I will be at the baseball softball conference championships for the Mid Carolina 1A, 2A. I think on the softball side, we could possibly not have a Chatham County team in there, but should a Chatham County team make both of them, I will be there. And also, too, before we go, I wanted to say that we'll also have tennis, boys tennis and lacrosse playoff previews and first round details, because those brackets came out on Monday. So those will also be in the paper. And you can look at, where our Chatham County teams will be playing, who they'll be playing against, and a little bit of a brief, write-up on what to expect in those games and from our teams during these playoff runs for lacrosse and tennis.
All right, folks. So basically, if you want a rehash of everything Asheebo just talked about and more information, you need to pick up a paper. They're coming out today. If they're not there yet, they'll be out there later on this afternoon. Pick one of those up. A lot of activity going on. We'll be back next Wednesday. Asheebo will have stuff in the paper for next Wednesday as well. A lot of athletes doing really good stuff here in Chatham County, and we've got to go because Asheebo's got a 1 o'clock he's got to be at. Everyone else out there, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday. Follow Asheebo on Twitter.